Hey everyone, it's FLAK Fire. Battlefield 2042's class system update arrives soon. It's probably the biggest and most consequential patch since launch. It changes and adds a lot, but the question on everyone's mind is Battlefield 2042 finally fixed? We're going to look at that in detail today and answer that very tough question. Before we get to that, I recently reviewed Beach Invasion 1944 at gimme.co. This puts you in the boots of German soldiers on D-Day, and while controversial, is it any good? You can check out my review using the link in the video description. I break down some pros and cons of the game, and you can even ask me questions directly. Make sure to follow me on Gimme and check back regularly for new reviews. So, Battlefield 2042, is it finally fixed? The class system update patch notes are extensive, but the focus is on the class system and changes to specialists. DICE was true to their word that specialists weren't going away. They remain in Battlefield 2042, but now they've been integrated with a more traditional class system. Thanks to EA's Creator Network, I did get a bit of hands-on preview time, but the bulk of the footage you're seeing here today is pre-patch. When the update rolls out, it adds 4 classes: Assault, Engineer, Recon, and Support. As it stands, Dozer, McKay, Sundance, and Zane all fall into the Assault class. Boris, Crawford, and Lise are Engineers. Casper, Pike, and Rao are your Recon soldiers, while Angel, Falk, and Irish occupy the Support class. Each class has a specialty piece of equipment. Assault gets the med pen, Engineers the repair tool, Recon the insertion beacon, and Support the defibrillator. There are also class gadgets. This is where it gets a bit difficult to explain, so I'm going to pop a graphic up on the screen and you can see who has access to what. Feel free to pause the video to absorb any of that information, but you'll notice there are new gadgets in the patch, including the M18 Claymore, the Javelin, the Igla, the EOD bot, T-Ugs, and Tracer Dart. The proc sensor was also moved from the grenade slot to the gadget slot. I think some of these changes will be felt immediately. Most notably, anti-tank and AA weapons have been entirely relegated to the Engineer class, while ammo and health crates have been limited to Support. This does align with previous Battlefield titles, and I'm sure that will translate more to a traditional Battlefield feel. The return of the class system also adds weapon proficiencies. These are optional passive benefits that are unique to classes. So for example, if you are in the Assault class and you equip an assault rifle, you get 3 extra magazines. If you are an Engineer and use an LMG, you get improved dispersion while crouched or prone. If you are a Recon with a sniper rifle, you get immediate and constant steady scope, while Support players using an SMG get faster draw time. On top of this, specialists maintain their specialties and their traits. So, for example, Casper still has access to his drone and movement sensor trait, which alerts him to nearby enemies. Some specialist traits have changed as part of this update as well, so instead of armor, Irish now resupplies teammates with gadget ammo. Crawford's trait now repairs critically damaged vehicles and gadgets quickly. As I'm talking about this, it may sound like it's getting overcomplicated, and that is one of my personal concerns. Previous Battlefield games simply had you choose a class and then select from available equipment. This was easier to balance from a development standpoint and easier for players to understand. In 2042, you now have to select a specialist based on specialty and trait, class, weapon proficiency, and then choose weapons, attachments, equipment, and grenades. To me, that's borderline tedious and overcomplicated. We have to remember we're talking about a game in which we're lucky if the average player knows how to revive a squad mate. Conversely, anytime you have such complications, it also opens the door to metas and abusive combinations. For example, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me to spend all of this time reworking the game's core maps to encourage more close to medium gunplay, and then give Recon soldiers a one-hit kill option with the NTW-50 sniper rifle that now has an immediate and constant steady scope. That same player can now choose a ghillie suit, a claymore, and a passive ability that lets them detect nearby players. It lowers the skill ceiling and encourages gameplay that runs counter to the team and objective-centric gameplay the series has tried to encourage over the years, right? And of course, that's just one example here. Developers have said they'll be closely monitoring the new system and will make changes if any problems arise. Complication also renders a game less accessible. If Battlefield veterans are looking at the changes and raising an eyebrow, imagine how this system may strike new or interested players. DICE runs a very real danger here of trying to please everyone, which could end up pleasing no one. Are the changes perfect? No. Will they satisfy everyone? Absolutely not. On the plus side, the decision to bring back classes also makes gameplay a bit more readable. While not infallible, at least players will be able to more easily size up enemies based on their visual appearance. For example, it's likely players running Irish will be using an SMG because of the weapon proficiency of the support class. That information helps me make a decision on how to best engage that enemy. It also communicates that they can revive all players with a defibrillator and may be carrying an ammo or health crate. That's valuable information if they are a teammate. Again, not perfect, but certainly an improvement. DICE are adding a number of new weapons, attachments, and vehicle options with a class update as well. A few of these might bring back some of those old Battlefield vibes. New weapons include the M39 EMR, MTAR-21, and the PP-2000. Meanwhile, thermal scopes have also been added. Depending on the weapon, these are available with 1.25, 2.5, and 6 times magnification. There's also a new suppressor for the NBK shotgun, and a new active protection system has been introduced for the M1A5 and T28 tanks. This is on top of classic gadgets we've mentioned already, like the EOD bot, Claymore, T-Ugs, Igla, Javelin, and Tracer Dart Gun. The class update doesn't solve several other issues, however. For example, map design and gameplay issues tied to player count. This has been a long-time complaint for many Battlefield players. 128 players just isn't conducive to the tighter gameplay experience that many players are looking for. Visual identification still remains a challenge. Despite developers working on ways to identify friend versus foe, there's always just going to be an inherent issue if each side uses the same character model and cosmetics. This also doesn't solve the damage done to the Battlefield IP. Battlefield 2042 is just the latest in a line of controversial moves by developers. I do have to give credit where it's due, however. DICE has been, over the last year, working to adapt community feedback into the game and is listening to community concerns. The reimagining of the class system, reworking of maps, and the investigation into mouse input are a testament to that. Similarly, it's easy to forget in this discussion that the new patch also includes a rework of the map Breakaway. In general, though, after a year of walking on quicksand, DICE seems to have finally found solid ground. The trick is going to be convincing the player base that it is in fact solid ground. Continued communication and delivering on promises will go a long way in persuading fans to return to the franchise, or at least consider the next installment down the road. I also want to mention the class update patch includes a ton of fixes and adjustments, too many to discuss here, so I'll be leaving a link to that in the video description. In the meantime, what do you think of the update? Does the new class system meet your expectations? And if you have been away from Battlefield, will it convince you to return? Tell me down below in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If not, a dislike. Make sure to subscribe. Tap the bell to get updates on the latest Battlefield videos. If you want to support the channel, keep your money, share this video, or hey, check out some of the other videos. And as always, thanks for watching.